Hello there, and welcome to another of my album mashup videos. So, again, just taking two albums and mix them together. One track from one album, one track from another album, and move along throughout to try and get as much of both albums on there as possible. Just to look at some of the parallels between the two projects and just see how they would kind of work together as a full project. For this one, I am going to be looking at two fairly well opposing albums in the way of Jay-Z's The Blueprint and Nas's Stillmatic. Whereas Bluematic or Stillprint, whichever you prefer. I mean, Bluematic probably has a bit more of a better feel to it. Let's see, I'm going to get onto Illmatic. I'm very heavily considering doing a lot of because you can get a lot of parallels between Jay-Z and Nas albums, so trying to get a few more mixes of them, perhaps. Something for the future, maybe a possible series, we'll see. But again, obviously these albums released very close to each other. Stillmatic, in a way, a response to Blueprint, or certainly parts of the Blueprint. So for that reasoning, even though I prefer Blueprint as an album and would prefer to end on Blueprint, I've begun with Blueprint because it'll kind of become apparent as we go on. So again, as per usual, starting with the respective intro tracks of The Ruler's Back and Stillmatic, the intro. Now, it feels a little bit weird to do it in that way. Stillmatic works a bit better as an intro, with it just being one verse, whereas The Ruler's Back is technically two verses broken up with a sort of hook. But again, for the purposes of this, we do kind of need to have the Blueprint first, and Stillmatic intro kind of works well, bridging songs together. So I don't think it's too egregious to have it this way around, and maybe try doing it that way around sometime and see what effect that has on it. But then we go into, of course, the respective diss songs of the albums. Jay-Z's Takeover, followed by Nas's Ether. So obviously, with Ether being a response to Takeover, you do kind of need to have it after Takeover. And again, then after that, going into their respective singles for the albums, with Jay-Z's Izzo, HOVA, and Nas Got Yourself A. So again, those that both these albums actually, making this playlist, they do roughly fall in their correct orders. Certainly, the first few tracks are all in the correct order. Songs are generally placed. This just shows how well placed they are on their albums, that they still fall there on mashing them together. So, and then again, similarly trying to put some follow-up singles together after the lead ones, so we get a lot of the big singles together. If that real strong section of the album. So we follow up with Jay-Z's Girls, 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 and Nas's Raw featuring A. Marie, which was actually a single, but and was technically the first single actually, but because it kind of got released before without a video and everything, and kind of got a little bit lost in its promotion. People forget it was actually the first single, and it does kind of fit a little bit better with Girls, Girls, Girls as well. With the kind of like the female chorus from A. Marie kind of lends itself well to the female-based nature of Girls, 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 in my opinion. So then, again, trying to put some of the other album cuts together. So, Jay-Z, You Don't Know, and Nas, You're the Man. Both two of the stronger album cuts on their respective albums, and again, fairly close to the beginning. So it gives a little bit of a dip after the big singles, but not too much that we get too bogged down. I mean, You're the Man in particular, quite a smooth, mellow track, and actually kind of works well with the next songs that have been placed together. Heart of the City, Ain't No Love, and Rewind. Heart of the City, again, I wouldn't say it's necessarily as calm a track as You're the Man is, but it is reasonably smooth and certainly very soulful. So it works quite well after the sample. A lot of these kind of sample based tracks, which obviously Blueprint has quite a lot of, falling together. And Rewind, again, being quite a calm, easy song, just lyric based, and one of the more heavily regarded tracks on the album, quite similar to the way Heart of City's been quite heavily regarded and used in promotions and trailers and things. So having them together feel kind of works fairly well. Then again, getting some of the later singles from each album together. So Song Cry and One Mic next to each other. And again, still keeping a bit of a with Song Cry being quite a smooth, soulful track, then going into One Mic, which has its quiet moments and then of course builds up quite strongly at different parts of the song. Kind of works well after a lot of the smoother, calmer songs, I feel. Then we get Renegade featuring Eminem. Place that next to Nas' Second Childhood. Second Childhood just kind of needed a place on the album, and because with its DJ Premier produced track, it kind of it feels like with Renegade being produced by Eminem, so they're both being kind of different producers from their albums. It's a bit of a tenuous link, but again, obviously Renegade needed to be on there, and Nas doesn't particularly have any certainly any strong collaborations on his album. The only collaboration being Flyest with AZ, which is not one of their strongest tracks. I mean, for the sake of it, it could go on here, but I did really want to try and keep Second Childhood on because that's a much stronger song. Then we're gonna go to the end portion of the album. Jay-Z's title track Blueprint, Mama Loves Me, and Nas' My Country. It's quite a with Jay-Z's quite very personal, reflective style. Then going into Nas' quite epic closing track. Was one of the closing tracks from the album, depending on the variations of it. We then get the kind of like bonus tracks from the respective albums, with Jay-Z's Lyrical Exercise and Nas' Every Ghetto, which takes us up to 20 songs altogether, just coming under the mark for the full-length project. So, having the bonus tracks at the end, if you didn't, if you felt it was a bit too much overkill having all these songs on, you can kind of take those off as just bonus cuts. But to keep the majority, considering both albums only have a short amount of songs anyway, it's quite easy to keep most of both albums on here. So we weren't able to keep the Timbaland produced Holo Vito from Blueprint, just because it didn't really have it didn't particularly have any counterparts on the Stillmatic album. So I couldn't, as much I'd love to keep the song on there. It's kind of one I'm a bit annoyed about not being able to keep, but there's so many other great Blueprint songs to keep as well. Nas pretty much, the Stillmatic songs are pretty much all the really strong tracks from Stillmatic. Again, I don't feel it's as strong an album as Blueprint overall, even though it gets quite a lot of critical praise. But all the songs that I managed to keep pretty much are the stronger ones. The other kind of closing track, What Goes Around, I did want to keep, but I don't think it's quite as strong as My Country in terms of closing up the album, and there are some questionable lyrics in it, and I thought it was best not to keep on. It's a shame because Keon Bryce is very good on there, but as being able to keep 20 tracks on here altogether is quite good, and those are queries for perhaps if I was to have another go at it at another point. But I'm quite happy with the way that plays out anyway. It keeps most of the evident parallels from each project on there. And in terms of Jay-Z and Nas albums, you can certainly get a lot of similarities between their respective albums that kind of released at similar times. So I'm interested to have a look through them and see just what parallels we can get and how we could mix these albums together. So again, just as a way of pairing tracks that have similarities and placing them in a similar order, not necessarily the way that I would place them if they were made for an actual album, but the feel from them kind of there's the overall sentiment released throughout them, the kind of emotional thread that goes through them, I still feel works reasonably well like this. But again, any other albums we'd like to try and put together, always like to try and challenge and see how I can go with these things, and I'm going to see you for another one.